Well, if it's not my favorite, Coach Carter. How you doing? The original Coach Carter.
Doing,
How you doing? How you
doing
doing?
well,
How you
doing
doing?
well. How are you this evening?
Hey man, my saying is any day above ground is a great day. I'm blessed. So that being
I
said, this
100% agree.
is Youth Central Sports, Charles Morris with the original Coach Carter. And we're happy to be here on a Wednesday. Lots of sports, a lot of stuff to talk about. And first of all, how is the weather up there in Tennessee?
We're having some cool weather for this time of year. We're having like 40s in the mornings, getting up to around the high 60s, low 70s, and then going back down. But it looks like in the next couple of days it's going to really start leveling out. We're going to start getting some warm temperatures, some 70 and 80 degree days. But it's been beautiful the last couple of days.
Okay, so let me ask you, because I haven't been in high school in probably about 5,000 years. What is it like on the campus, and what is it like for you, the coaches, now that we're coming to the end of the school year? So, what do you guys do now? As far as, I mean, you've had your banquet and everything. Are there any other sports that's going on right now? Are there any other things that you're
Oh, yeah,
involved in when it comes to coaching and anything like that?
we're in our summer basketball program. We had our first early tryouts for all kids that are interested for the summer, and then we will have a tryout for those kids playing other sports on the last day of school, which is next Thursday, the 23rd. After that, we'll put together the summer team, and we have about 25 games we'll play in 3 weeks through the month of June. And then once we finish that, we're through until we come back in the fall. Football is having their spring activities. I've been observing them the last 3 or 4 days. They had an inter squad game last night, and they'll have a scrimmage game on this Friday to conclude their spring. Soccer teams in the nationals, track teams in the nationals, or states rather state programs. Tennis program won state. Girls soccer came in. Baseball came in second. Girls soccer, it came in second in the state. So we got a lot going on right now, and it's all about preparation for on the basketball side. We're preparing for next season already in our
Okay,
summer
now,
program.
yeah, now it's funny because I've never asked this question. I mean, before we get into the ram of what's been going on, NFL, NBA, the playoffs, and so on. What is it like, Vince? Because you're this is your fifth year there. So, what is it like as far as relationships with staff, and how? What is it like with the football coaches and the other coaches? What is it like? Because you're the new guy coming in. So, what is that like? It,
Well, we established we've been very blessed to have a great relationship with baseball and football. We're very supportive. From what I gather, this is probably a very unusual relationship, but a lot of support on both sides. We supported the football program during basketball, and during our run, they supported us. Kids who are interested are caught in that vacuum between the two. We're trying to work out so the kid the best opportunity for the kid, so that he can participate with both opportunities if it works out for him that way. He still has to compete to make the team, but we give him every effort. So it's a great opportunity. I think from what I've been told, it's a very unique relationship because we have a coaches Bible study every Wednesday where you've got some of the coaches that come in and from the baseball is represented, basketball, football. So we kind of take a different approach to that. That's just strengthening each other, helping us to relate well in our jobs to the kids and keeping God in our picture. But at the same time, it allows us to build relationships that allow us to work very comfortably with each other. And I think that's been a key to everybody's success.
it's funny because we're later going to mention talking about the upcoming summit that's going to take place in July. But I would love to have a roundtable with people like you and others that's been involved in coaching, and would love to ask the question. And not that we have to talk about it now, but I would love to ask the question: when did you see a shift in the attitudes and there was a change in when parents started to become more verbal and more involved in opinions and circumstances and situations when it comes to the team and the coach and how all of that started to shift however many years ago. I would love to have a roundtable to hear coaches talk about that, you know.
Well, real quick though, just a quick note on that. A lot of that's been there. It's been the administration that's allowed it to take place. They have given a greater ear to that kind of squabble, where before it was hush, put away. We're not even going to entertain that. Uh, some of the indiscretions of poor coaches have made poor decisions, has opened a window now that I think has caused more people to be observant of what's going on, thus sending what I believe to be, in some cases, an indirect message, a wrong message, which allows people, everybody to believe they have some say. So it's kind of twofold, but yeah, that would be an interesting discussion because I can share my experiences, and I'm sure other coaches have similar experiences that they could share and give you a time frame. But I think it's a universal time frame. But it'd be interesting to hear what they would say.
Yeah. Donnell says good evening, so he's saying hi, coach.
Hey, Danielle.
Goose. Oh man. Before we get into, well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about game sevens, the two game sevens. What do you think of the two game sevens?
No, I thought it was good basketball. I think you saw you. That's what the league is all about. That's what you kind of expect. I think those are the type of games that really keep you on the edge of your seat. Great entertainment value for the fan, for the basketball enthusiast. I thought it was good basketball. That you got a chance. He kept you on the edge of your seat. Um, I absolutely enjoyed it. I mean, teams that I thought would win won. That gives me probably more enjoyment than somebody who's lost. But you would have to say, particularly in the Toronto and Philadelphia game, I mean, what an ending! I mean, what a way to pull off a game seven, to hit a shot like that. Then not to have it go directly in, but to have it play around the rim and then fall in. I mean, that's shock value basketball. Um, then to go up and watch Golden State somewhat one man, two man, three man down, however you want to look at it, go in and then put on such a performance. And one of the things I thought was interesting, one of the commentators was talking about how people had been talking and making jokes about Steph Curry this, Steph Curry that, but he commented about halfway through and said, "Y'all keep joking, but y'all keep making jokes about Steph while he just keep knocking him down, knocking him down." He
Right.
really, I thought he and Clay really rose to the occasion as well as the whole team and just played some very inspired basketball.
Yeah. And then the funny thing, man, we're some of the conversations sometimes is just really hard to listen to and how we try to analyze, a child's game. You know, the the the, the shot or the game between Toronto and Philadelphia came down to a last shot, and to make it seem like Philadelphia, you have to go and explain all this and that with Philadelphia and this and that. And now, the game, it was a game seven that came down to a last shot.
Mm.
Okay, both teams were in the game. Both teams are good teams. The game came down to a last shot. So they try to break this down, break that down. Somebody didn't do this. Now, the interesting thing that they did talk about was how they sent, how Embiid was out on the perimeter, and Simmons, they posted him low for the fact that because he's not a shooter, they're saying that they had reversed it, then they just would have left Simmons alone and would have been doubling down on the blocks. Now I did hear that, and it's just interesting that the more you hear about Simmons, everybody says that he can't shoot. So,
But they're not telling us it's the truth.
what?
I
No,
mean,
no, no,
it's
no,
a
no. This
weakness in
is
his game.
what I'm saying. Everybody is saying this. So, and right. So I'm saying it must be true. So I'm saying in my mind, I'm going, why at this stage is he's not a better shooter? Is what I'm saying. That he has to look within himself. It's like, what else do you have to do? But I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
what's going on that
the
he
young man.
doesn't want to be a better shooter?
I don't think it's not that he doesn't want to be one, but he was off a whole year with injury. He just got back in. I'm not make. I don't think it's an excuse, but he's a year behind. He should. I thought once he got healthy, that he would, and maybe he has been working on his shot. I would think the team would be assisting him in doing that. That's one of the knocks that you're getting on a lot of NBA teams, particularly now as we're changing head coaches and moving coaches around. But case in point, out in LA when they hired Vogel, who was a very good basketball coach. But one of the things that the conversations was about bringing, player development, and they're using Jason Kidd in this particular case, who I think eventually they want to be the head coach. But he has a relationship with Ball. They need to develop Ball, and Jason does a decent job of developing players. I think Simmons is a case for that. They need to spend more time developing in him as well as he needs to spend more time working on his game, working on his shot. And it's only going to happen. Teams are made during the season, players are made in the summer. He's got to get out there and get up a lot of shots. So that's a personal thing. I mean, they can walk him
Well,
through
right.
it. They give him at the end of the year. They give him a workout that they want him to do. He has to work on it. He may have to get a shooting coach, or whatever it takes. But he's just not um, a good shooter. Now, again, he's a one and done player, but this is his first year in 2 years as a pro, first year actually on the floor. But he's a one and done, and that's again one of the things that I caution about skill levels. They're not where they're supposed to be. They're not really. In so many cases, they're not ready.
Well, Vince, if we sitting, and I'm not into criticizing athletes. It's just hard to when you have a passion when you play this game, and I've never known any other way to deal with sports other than to have the passion for it. It's just hard to be on that level at this stage, and for whatever reason, you're you can't shoot the ball when you've been brought in to be this player. It's just I don't mean I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just trying to understand the whole development and what you walk in the door with as an athlete and as a professional basketball player. It's just hard to understand sometimes. I don't
Well,
know.
there is the expectation of a professional player that you come in with some skills already. That you obviously you hone the rest of them and redevelop or continue to develop those skills, something he has not done yet. He passes the ball well. He's a great physical specimen. He rebounds the ball well, dribbles the ball well. He does some good stuff. Just so he has to, and he's not been the only player like that. Michael Jordan came in, didn't have a jump shot, jumping all over the place, but he was dunking the ball and doing all those things. And Mike went away that same summer, came back, but this first year started working on his shot and developed and created a jump shot. He really made it became a very integral part of his game. So he can do it. He just has to do whatever it is he got to do to make it happen because it's going to hurt him as a player, and it's going to take away some of the strategy for his team because people are going to leave him wide open because he's not a good shooter. Now he can shoot the ball, but he's not a good shooter because I don't know what his percentage is, but it's very low.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Philly is going to do in the off season. You know, I like Butler, but I think he's a pain in the butt. I like him though, but he's too iffy for me. but I like him as a ball player. But but he comes with this little whatever that is he got, man. I don't, and I mean, he comes to play, but he still comes with this little thing. It's kind of like a little gnat. They'd be
Yeah.
like, and so they're talking about whether or not they want to give him the max. So I don't know, man. I mean, as a player, you like
Gonna
him,
be
but
a
he still got this little about him. So I don't know.
it'll be interesting because this summer is a big free agency summer, and it'll be a lot of player movement, a lot of decisions being made, drafts coming up soon on the 29th. I mean, yeah, sometime early mid June, and then free agency starts July 1. So, and then it is perceived that Philly's going to make some changes. They could be making a head coaching change. They may be making a front office change. With all those factors go into whether or not they're giving out max deals or not. Now everybody's trying to save their money to be competitive for this free agency. Philly no different. So it's going to be interesting to see how they view uh, each player, obviously, or your high quality players, and he's one of them. Is he worth the money that he will be commanding, or could I do better getting 4 or 5 players? Do I want to deal with that or not? So those are interesting questions. Particularly if they get new leadership, it'll be interesting to see how they look at that, or even with the current leadership, if they stay in place. It is believed that Brett Brown will probably be fired, but thus far I don't think it's happened that I recall. But they believe that he will be, and that's going to change the focus of the team as well. So again, free agency coming up soon. I think all basketball enthusiasts are going to be somewhat surprised. People have always been talking about a lot of different scenarios of who going where and what if and maybe. But when we get down to dollars and cents, that's going to change all those maybes into real deals. Can we afford to put that deal together? So that's what to me is going to be very interesting is when they put these scenarios to pen and paper. Are they realistic? But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a feeding frenzy because a lot of players and a lot of money is on the table.
Yeah, wanted to. Is it Tobias? Is that his name? Tobias Harris? That's his name, right?
Hmm.
It's funny because he came from the Clippers,
Hmm.
but I was just listening the other day, and I heard one of the sports guys talk about him. And first of all, let me ask you, what do you think of him as a player?
He's a good player. He has done. I think he's done some good stuff at times. I think it's finding the right situation for him. Find that's what's going to really max, which really is going to show his true talent. I think, but I think he's shown enough uh, of his skill level and his ability to play the game to be worthy of the conversation.
Well, and the reason why I asked is because when I heard the sports guy talk about him, he mentioned some teams because he's a journeyman. I didn't even know that he played here in Orlando. Did you?
Yes,
I mean, I,
yes.
I had I had no idea, and so he mentioned like either four teams or 5 teams, like so so he's been a journeyman, and that's why I asked and so I guess the conversation was whatever that is. From this is my really first time seeing him play. When he went to Philly, I'd be like, this guy looks like he's a pretty good ball player. Look like he's a good fit for Philly. But I didn't know that he was a journeyman that he's been. So it's like there's something amiss about this guy who seems to have a good game.
Well, sometimes it's availability, sometimes it's dollars and cents. Because of his game, teams want him. Certain teams want to have him, and they try to get him on their rosters, or they need to fill a spot. He's available. His contract numbers fit into what they want, um, and he's good trade bait. A lot of times, because of the way he plays, he's oftentimes that type of talent is being required. So people move him to make room for other places. It doesn't mean he's not a good ball player. It just simply
Hmm.
says that he's a high value, and he could be a high quality player that a lot of people want, and he just hadn't found a home where somebody want to lock him down they keep using him, and that's sometimes that's team stuff. You know, they like him, but I know I can't keep him. I need more than him, or I don't need him. I need others. I'm going to take him so I can get somebody else. It's like playing chess, you know, and it almost treats the people like pieces of meat, but it's just a business of bodies, moving people around. And I think it's also a testament to the fact that what kind of player he is that people want to have him on their team.
Porzingis, man, are fans just crazy? it's like, it's like, man, you want to go tell these people you need a life. it's just
Mm.
like, did you see that? Because I mean, he had blood coming down his face, and I don't know what happened between him and the fan was pissed because he left New York, according to what I heard. Uh,
Yeah.
fans are crazy. really?
Yeah, well, that's what people criticize Westbrook, but that's what Westbrook was saying is that a lot of times fans they allow fans to get away with some crazy stuff. You know, they feel that they have the right to say and do anything they want to. Yeah, you paid to come to the game, and you have a right to voice your opinion, but sometimes they make it so personal, and then they get really touchy. There's been several incidences over the year where players have gone in the stands after fans. Some fans have lost their minds and forgot that that's another human being out there that you're dealing with. So it happens. It seems like it's happening a little bit more than I recall, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking maybe it's not as much as I think, but it does happen, and it's a strange thing because you would think the relationship between fan and player would be it's strained anyway because everybody wants their team to win and they want their players to perform well. I understand that. I get that. I'm yelling at the TV sometime myself when my favorite team about plays I thought they should have made differently or whatever. But to physically create an altercation, I don't know that I take it that seriously or not. But there are
Yeah.
many
I,
fans that do.
I mean, you. I mean, I've criticized Westbrook be, because I just think that he handles certain situation when it comes to verbal stuff like he's 3 years old. And I always say, as long as somebody is not physically touching you and something like that, I don't care about the words coming out of your mouth. I'm not going to give it a definition and define it by my, responding to it because I'm an adult. I'm a grown man. I know who I am. So, but when somebody physically touch you, that's a whole nother arena. I mean, you done stepped into a whole nother room now. Now that's something totally different. But
Yeah,
as when you in the arena and fans are yelling, I'm not paying any attention what
yeah.
they,
Well,
you
that's
know, what they
one
say.
thing. But when they come down from their seat to right to the edge of the thing to yell directly at you if you're sitting on the bench or something like that, that becomes more personal than just sitting up in the stands criticizing somebody.
Right.
You now have isolated and pulled me out one on one and come down and began to speak to me and my about my family, and everybody's sensitive about that. Yeah, it's just words, but at the time he's probably hyped up. You know, people spitting on you and all this kind of stuff. It gets you wound up. I mean, it takes a heck of a man to just say, "I'm just going to let that go," and then then I think you add the emotion to it all. I'm losing, or I'm not playing well, or whatever could be the circumstances. That's just going to add to it, and it really gets out of hand. So like you even had the owner up there in New York one time lose his mind. He fell out with a former player, and he created a big ruckus and all this kind of stuff. So security has to do a better job, and fans have to be more respectable, and they have to police themselves as well as players do. But every now and then, it's going to happen. Um, we haven't had that much going in the stands lately, which I think is really good. But going through the tunnel, I've seen them grab some people up there. I've seen some people throw cups at players, pour soda at them, and stuff like that. That's going a little bit too far, in my opinion. I mean, you can disagree and you can voice your opinion, but when you start doing that, it becomes personal, and
Yeah.
and then you get into personalities, and I don't know how this guy is going to respond to that. I know how I think I would respond, but I don't know. I'm not him, so it gets crazy.
Well, there's a lot of things that we can talk about in reference to Game One between Portland and Golden State. I don't think there was
Hmm.
any surprises there. I was a little surprised by the turnovers by Portland because they, played a game where they had a lot of turnovers. But I don't think there was any true surprises of Game One. Did you?
Well,
Was
the
there anything?
surprise I had for game one was the defensive strategy that they used against Thompson and Curry, allowing staying in the paint, not going after them, and allow them to switch on picks, and nobody was there. Then go over the top of the pick, then pick up on the pick, then slide up on the pick, and nothing. Just let Curry come off and shoot clean. The guy dropped all the way back. He was at the 3-point line, and the defender was in the paint. Then you had one where Clay come from the opposite side of the court, come around, go through a double pick, and pull up clearly and shoot a shot. And the defenders looked like they didn't know where they were supposed to be. Then you hear the coach in the post-game interview speak to the fact that he thought that was a good defensive strategy. Now, um, you coaching the team, you do what you think is right, but at that level, given the talent that you were playing against the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, I'm not sure that was a smart decision. Now, I know I'm just a high school coach trying to learn the game. I'm still in eagerly trying to learn, but everything I've learned tells me that's not the best strategy. And he defended that by saying when someone else played the pick and rolled away or the screen the way everybody thought he should, that what's name had 34 points. Well, then he had a little attitude because I think he was being challenged. Well, probably not the best way to handle that, but it's a good question. I mean, you got guys shooting a stink out the ball, and you just gonna let them shoot it? I disagree with that. That was a surprise for me. All the excuses that they came up with, altitude, just finished an emotional game, and like one of the other players said, hey, this game it's a Western Conference championship game. I don't care if we played last night. We got to play tonight. So they came out. So, but I think overall, I agree that from the win itself, I wasn't surprised. I liked what I saw them do, but I was surprised at the way the way Portland handled it defensively.
Yeah. Yeah. Game One, Milwaukee and Toronto. Any
Shocked,
surprises there?
shocked. I thought Toronto would get that. And Toronto led most of the game, and Brooke Lopez been around in the league forever. Comes up and shoots what 24 points tonight. No one could have expected that. I think obviously they're going to make adjustments on that coming the next game for sure. But he played well. You didn't hear much from the Greek Freak. I don't think he. Yeah, I thought they would do a good job of trying to contain him. They did a decent job of trying to contain Kawhi. He did have some impact, but then they lost that game in the last in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Probably 4 minutes left in the game is when Lopez just got crazy and his shots were falling. So I was very surprised by that. I know Milwaukee's a good squad, and I know they're playing home. But I kind of thought Toronto would get that. So great way to get started. You won one on your home court. Good game. Still was a good game. And Toronto didn't lay down and go to sleep. But I was kind of surprised that Milwaukee pulled it off.
Okay. Well, there's quite a few other things that we can talk about. With Lakers got a new coach. Lakers
Yeah,
got a new coach, and
I think they made a good decision, but perhaps for the wrong reason. It is believed that they wanted to give the job to Jason Kidd because they really liked his interview. But Jason's got too many personal issues, DUI, domestic violence, and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't think they could sell that to the public as a head coach. So what they did, in what I thought was really smart, they went and got a good coach in Vogel, who was proving himself. He was at Indiana, had a good squad. He'll come in, Kidd will come in and be his assistant, probably number one assistant, and help with player development. He's been talking to Lonzo Ball, and there seems to be some relationship with Ball. So based on that, he'll work with player development, continue to work with him. and it's believed that maybe in 2 or 3 years, because Vogel has a 3-year contract, and it is believed that probably by the end of his 3 years, they'll turn the team over to Jason Kidd, and he'll run the squad. Ron Palinka is interesting. They're not putting anybody in Magic's position. They're going to let him run that, which I think is kind of interesting. It gives him an awful lot of power, and I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. Then you now have a conversation. It's a little rumbling going on. It's a little back channel conversation. I've heard it more than one time that they may be looking to move LeBron, which would probably not be a bad idea because you can get an awful lot for him. I think he has I think his contract would allow him to be moved. So that's going to be interesting. And then they had the fourth pick in the draft.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out because they got they got a nice core group of young talent. I think it's undeveloped. I think um, I think they got work to do with them. And my own personal feeling is LeBron's in the way. But, because see, there's an awful lot of conversation out there that, like, for instance, the Magic and his crew and Palenka at the time, they didn't want Ball, but Jenny Buss wanted Ball. She wanted him to be on the team. So obviously she's the owner. You put him on the team and follow her wishes. So, but he hasn't been developed. Luke Walton, I thought was a good fit, but for some reason, and I understand Luke was given the opportunity to stay, but chose not to. I guess he didn't feel wanted, and so he left. Lakers, lot of turmoil out there. But it'll be interesting to see if it's now the dust is somewhat settled. What do they do now?
Well, I did hear some chatter online that some of the minority owners are not happy with Jeannie Buss and what's been going on with her and her decisions.
Yeah,
I, you
yeah,
know,
they felt like Jenny has made some bad calls, and some of that could have been around her non-support of Magic, or not a vocal support of Magic. When Ron Palenka was coming in with conversation, she didn't come back and fight it. She kind of absorbed it. I don't think they like, according to what I've read as well, they don't like some of her decisions. Part of that group is Kurt Rambis and his wife, which surprising to know that they hold a large stake in the Lakers. Uh, Interesting to see how that's going to play out. Uh, that internal fighting and turmoil really does spill over onto the court. I think that's what happened to Boston this year, trying to manage those minutes, and the team, they even made a statement to me they don't like each other, and it spilled over to the court. But they had troubles during the year, but then at the end of the season they kind of pulled it together. But you didn't get as much out of it, like Hayward didn't play well. Tatum didn't play well, and some of those other role players didn't play well because you had to give Kyrie his time, you had to give Hayward his time, and then you're trying to manage the other time. So a lot of that internal fighting does come back to hurt your team. I am truly interested to see how the Lakers recover, if at all they cover. They were talking about Jerry West going over there, but it was confirmed. Well, I saw it and confirmed the other day that the Clippers said no, they're keeping him.
right.
And they're going to pay him whatever he got to be paid to stay there. So interesting.
Okay. What you think of the Cleveland's hire?
Surprise. I liked him as a college coach. He's 66 years old. First crack at the NBA. Got a tremendous resume from the college level. Watching the way he's coached, I'm just interested to see how that's going to happen, how that's going to mess with NBA players, because that's probably one of the greatest challenges I think college coaches have is going into the NBA because now you're instead of dealing with young men, you're dealing with grown men, and that can be delicate in building those relationships and how you manage that. Um, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I like him as a coach. I just want. I hope he. I hope. I just want to see how that works out.
That,
Surprised too.
yeah, he would need a good staff. He would need a good staff.
Yeah,
That's
I'm sure he'll reach out and kind of
guys
do.
that's been around for a while.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a lot of them out there. You know, it's a lot of guys out there that's looking that might be interested to move. That guys may have that are not employed, or even those guys that may be losing, from other jobs. So and I'm sure he's got one or two people he want to bring with him. But that's going to be the key is building that staff. Be interesting. It'd be very, very interesting.
Must be something about South Beach there, because the Suns, Josh Jackson. Did you see that where he was
Hmm.
arrested in Miami?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm not laughing at you,
South
just
Beach,
saying there's something about South Beach, man. It's just like, okay.
South Beach is off the chain. I mean, and
That's what I'm saying.
careful,
Something about
it
South
will take
Beach.
you with it. South Beach ain't no joke.
Well,
I mean,
hey, Vince, it sounds like you've been to South Beach.
I've been to South Beach, and I got the most I could out of South Beach. So, yeah, South Beach has got a lot to offer.
He'd be like, that's why
If you
they
take a
call it
laundry
South
list,
Beach.
that's right. Because if you take a laundry list to South Beach, you can fill it.
But
You can
what
fill your
happens in
laundry. I
South
don't
Beach
care
is supposed to
what
stay in
perspective.
South Beach.
No, they didn't say that. That's Vegas. They didn't say that South Beach. They telling everybody down there. But it can't get you caught up without a doubt. Especially we're getting into the warm months now. Yeah, South Beach can be a Vegas with a beach.
Yeah. Well, let's go over the the top 10 in the draft, and that was, of course, New Orleans. Um, and I guess we all know what that number one pick is going to be. And then,
Well, soon. I mean, is leaning that direction. I think that with the new GM Griffin coming in, he's going to do all he can to try to keep Anthony Davis there and then build around he and Zion. But at the same time, I think also he's flexible enough to say, okay, if you're not going to stay here, then we're going to go ahead and try to put something else around, build a better core. They got a couple of players. They would be in somewhat of a rebuilding mode, where right now if they kept AD and added Zion and anything else, and anybody else that they bring on, they would be reloading, if you would. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I think all the indications right now say that they're going to take Zion. There's been some question: do you take Zion or do you take Morant? Morant's more ready to play, but it depends upon what position you're looking at. So I don't know. Right now, I think it's the foregone conclusion that they will take Zion. Will they keep
well,
Zion after they? Good question.
according to Jerry West, he's going to be a better pro, according to Jerry West.
And well, everybody has their own opinion. I would obviously respect 100% uh, Jerry. Um, and I think he may long term he may be right, but I think on the short term, Morant it will come in more ready than Zion
Well,
to
no,
contribute.
no, no, no. That's what I meant.
No, I disagree with him on that, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He was saying that that he would be better than your boy Zion, as a
No,
pro.
Morant,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what Jerry
yeah,
West
I
said.
agree with. Well, I agree with him on that. 100% agree with him on that.
Yeah.
I think Young is more ready to play. He's aware, and I think Zion didn't get out of Duke what he should have and could have, and I blame Coach K for some of that as well. So it's going to take him a little longer to turn the corner. He's going to have to develop more of his game. He's not going to be able to jump over everybody like he's been doing. He's going to have, so he's got some work to do. And the key to his success would be how hard will he work.
Well, Memphis is coming in at number two, and then the thing is that did you know that New Orleans had a 6% chance of the number one pick?
Yeah, everybody thought the number one pick was going to New York. In fact, people had believed that it possibly would have been rigged to do so. I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it happened the way it did. I'm glad that the order fell the way it did, so that those teams who purposely tanked with the idea of getting a better opportunity in the draft is backfired on them. They changed the system this year to try to eliminate that because I thought that was poor judgment, and it's bad for the game to do
Right.
it that way. But you know, now with Morant coming in, you know, going to the Grizzlies, you got Conley down there, and they're in a rebuild. He would be a tremendous addition to that program. They take him. It looks like they are going to take him.
Okay. Well, we got the New York Knicks 3.
It appears that there's some conversation about them taking R.J. Barrett. I, eh, I guess for me, I'm not a big Barrett fan. I don't. I'm not 100% in favor of that. But a lot of these decisions are based on what they think they need, um, player wise. Some of it's strategic, you know, trade value. I can, if I get this, you know, and sometimes they take players to keep other people from getting them. They don't want certain, you know, certain teams to have certain players. I'll draft them and trade them. You know, so a lot of that's going on. So I think the Knicks possibly still interested in Barrett. I think he's a high commodity for them. Um, he's a dribble drive. He's got some. He's going to have some work to do too. His game is not by far because he doesn't shoot well either. He's a dribble drive, get to the basket kind of guy. He goes downhill a lot. Strong, strong on that, but he's going to have to develop some other parts of his game. So yeah, it appears he would be the next guy.
Uh, I got a feeling there's going to be some type of movement or a shock, something.
Oh yeah.
Somebody going to do something that you're going to go, what? But the
Well,
Lakers,
yeah,
the
yeah. I agree with you on that. I mean,
right,
that's why I was saying the other day some comment about that, and people, everybody was giving all kind of scenarios and stuff like that. But see, you don't. You, I know what it looks like, but you never know what these people are really looking at. You know what their real needs are, what they really want to give up to get. You know, so it all looks good. I'm hearing, you know, Durant leaves Golden State, goes to New York with Kyrie Irving. And how would that work? You got some dynamics there. Plus, can you afford that? They got a lot of money out there already, and you got, you know, so all those factors go into it. So I don't know.
you
Interesting. I mean, again, free agency kicks in too now. You know, don't forget
now,
July 1, we're going to a free agent frenzy.
now you know what I heard,
What's that?
and I heard it's a done deal. Now I mean, they said it's a done deal.
Okay.
Kyrie and KD going to the Knicks. They said it's a done deal. That's what they said. They said it's a done
Well,
deal. Kyrie and KD going to the Knicks.
I don't see how. I mean, again, I mean, you know, again, this is only my opinion, so I'm speaking from my own body.
That's the rumor, though.
Um, but I don't see how that's going to work. They both need the basketball in their hand in order to be effective. They don't do well off the ball, so they do well with the ball in their hand. There's only
But
one basketball. Plus, you
but
already got some talent. You don't have a lot, but you got a couple of
but
guys up there. I
he
and
played
then
with
dollars and cents.
LeBron though. He played with LeBron,
That's
and I
why he left.
think LeBron needs the ball more than KD.
KD's a bit more flexible, but he still needs the ball.
Oh
He
yeah,
can
yeah,
do some
yeah.
other, or he still got to have the ball. So who's gonna run the offense and who's gonna bring the ball up and who's gonna? I Yeah, again, I just think a lot of that's the conversation and hype and wishful thinking and just stuff to just create buzz. It could happen. I mean, you know, you never know. It's so early in this game to start doing that kind of stuff. For me, I don't get excited till I see it signed and done, signed and delivered. 'Cause I'm not believing that. I think too many dynamics that go into that
Right.
that make that not as easy as people say it is. But now I'm not saying it's not going. It couldn't happen because it could. You never know. Like you said, I think we're going to be shocked um, come July 1.
And it's
We're going to.
Vince. There's just so much money out there. The money is like crazy now. It's just like
Well,
crazy,
that's what
crazy
I'm
money.
saying.
It's
Every
crazy.
team saved money under their cap because of the number of free agents that's going to be available. So everybody has tried to skim off as much money as they could, give as many 1 year contracts as possible so that they can have that to compete in that frenzy. And so we don't know, I don't know if anybody knows what you can get out of that. You may be shocked as to what comes out of that. Because I just think you're going to see some players that you didn't even, that you're just going to be blown away about the fact that they're there. So I don't know. I've heard a whole lot of maybe ifs, and this is what's going to be, but I want to see it first.
Yeah, I did. And actually, you know what? I
I
would
don't
like
believe.
to see that. I would like to see Kyrie and KD in New York City. I mean,
Mm,
I, I mean, just from the standpoint that that it's just the Knicks.
I like to see the Knicks rebuild. I like to see the Knicks become more, get back and become relevant. I don't think that either. I don't. I don't like that combination, but that's just me. But I think it would bring some hype back. They got one or two players up there that are young players that could learn from that kind of thing. Some people are criticizing Kyrie saying he quit on the Celtics. I don't know if he quit or not, but there are a lot of people saying that.
You know what,
Hayward
Vince?
didn't have.
I think what Kyrie experienced in Boston was a realization of what he thought he was to what the reality of what he is. And I think
That could be true.
that was a wake up call for him, I think.
That very well could be the case. And he could have, and with the amount of talent that they had already, that the problem they had was meshing that talent together. They had done so well the previous year without Hayward or Irving. And then you come back this year, and that's where all that confusion came in because they're trying to put people, you're taking minutes and giving minutes, taking minutes. And these guys are saying, well, last year these guys weren't here. We went out and did this. And now we got them. So we should be better. It didn't work out that way. It just did not work out that way. And it's going, I'm very interested to see what they'll do up there, how they're going to handle that.
And what was surprising to me was the game where he said that because he didn't have a good game and he said that he should have shot 30 shots and he didn't have a good game. And so with me thinking that this is and I'm looking at him as a superstar, that he didn't come out the next game and didn't play any better. So that was shocking and surprising to me, being supposedly the elite player that he's supposed to be. That is what that was, and I'm not even talking about whether or not I'm not talking about the win or the loss. I'm just talking about the way he played. I mean, he could have played great and they still could have lost the game, but I'm just looking at him individually. The game that he played previously, then he comes right back and didn't play any better. So I'm like, whoa,
Well,
okay. That's
I
what,
think that was
and it kind of tells me as we had the conversation, yeah, you are Robin. You're not
well.
Batman.
It lends itself to the idea that Hayward didn't play well, Tatum didn't play well. I don't think Horford and them really played to their level, and that's a lot of that I believe had to do with infighting. So could he carry the team by himself? I never thought he could do it. I thought he was a heck of a complimentary player. You give him a little bit to work with, and he can go with it. But if you're not going anywhere, he can't straighten that out. At least not in my opinion. That's just simply my opinion. Um, he tried to do it all by himself, and I think you got to include other people to do that. I think that's the key to the game. team sport is all about in my mind. But yeah, I think your point could be well taken that maybe you're not what you thought you were, and maybe this is not the right place for you to be. So maybe you need to go somewhere else where you can have the role that you want to play. Because a lot of that's what's taking place. So I don't know. Don't have a crystal ball on that part. I mean, because what I don't get sometimes, I don't understand the decisions that these guys make. And I don't understand the rationale behind some of the decisions that they come up with. Now, I'm not there, obviously. I'm not a professional basketball player, obviously. And I'm not in their shoes, obviously. So I'm staying on the outside, looking in like everybody else, just voicing my opinion is what it comes down to. But I just don't know sometimes understand what are you looking for? And then if you want it that bad, how much are you willing to pay for it? And what are you going to put into it? So I don't know. He confuses me because I thought he was home. I thought he was someplace where he was ready to go and play ball. But to move again, um,
Yeah, and
I
then
don't know.
remember I told you that that I was personal friends with John Bagley that played up in Boston
Hmm.
College,
Hmm.
and he was drafted by Cleveland. He also played in Jersey for a while, and he when he retired, he was playing there with Larry Bird, and John told me, he said, man, playing in Boston with the Celtics, he said it's a whole different world. He said it's just different, which means that
Yeah,
that's a real basketball town, is what he was saying.
sure,
It was totally
absolutely.
different than playing in Cleveland, totally different than playing in Jersey. He said it was just the whole atmosphere and everything about the team and the way people see you as a ball player. He said it's just different. And so,
Same thing can be said of LA. The expectation out in LA is a champion all the time. That's why when they fall or stumble, it's such a dramatic situation. Remember now, these two teams were one of the, along with Detroit back in the day. Those were one of the three or four elite units out there. They were always competing for some type of championship. So they had strong organizations, good coaches, good talent, and they played. They really got out there and got it done. So there's a culture, and I'm 100% believing that. I think with Steve Kerr and his coaching staff and the ownership he built out there in Golden State is phenomenal. Um, um, to get those type of players to come and play it so unselfishly. You see squabbles from time to time, but that's just human nature. But they play so unselfish and they get at it so hard and I think that's what everybody wants to try to emulate. And that's old school basketball with a young twist to it, if you will. So there's a culture, man. I know for me, I try to build culture with the guys that I coach. There's an expectation every time you come in the gym, and you tie on your shoes. There's an expectation. You dribble the basketball. There's an expectation. I think that's culture, and I think when you instill that and you get players to buy into that, they gravitate to that level that you're trying to set. And I think that's what Boston, LA, obviously, I think Houston was trying to get to that. I don't think they'll get there with D'Antonio, but that's just my opinion. And I think that's what's happening out there with the Warriors.
just rounding off the top 10, we were saying that the Knicks are 3, Lakers are 4, Cleveland
Hmm.
is have the 5th pick.
Even thought they were going to be in the top four. What are you crazy?
And
Mhm.
Phoenix, which I think didn't Phoenix have like the worst record last season? Didn't they have like the worst record?
Mm, they
Yeah,
didn't have a good one. I'll say that.
yeah. I
I'll
think
say that.
I think they had like the worst record, but they have the 6th pick. The Bulls have the
Hmm.
7th pick, and actually the Atlanta Hawks have the 8th and the 10th pick. The
And
Washington Wizards have the 9th pick.
yeah,
So
they got a couple of picks.
yeah,
Good for
the
them.
Hawks got have 2 picks in the top 10.
Right. And it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with all that young talent that they got up there. What Because they got a couple of good players out there on their squad. Uh, It'll be interesting to see how they use those picks. Number one, and if they will be in the business of acquiring any free agents and what they're going to do. It's going to
Mm,
be interesting, to say the least.
no. Wow. Now, Vincent, it must be nice to be rich. The fact that the judge grant motion to suppress the video evidence against Robert Kraft.
I was
To
trying to find out why.
they
Why?
said that according the the police, I guess they confiscated the the evidence illegally, supposedly. I guess the best
Hmm.
way to put it.
Hmm.
So they're they're gonna challenge it. So
You should.
anyway, it must be nice to be rich.
Well, it is. This is so high profile that it's going to be so obvious if they let him get off on anything. And then I would say then if he gets off, then some of the other guys need to get off as well because he hadn't done anything any different than they have done, and
Right,
this is something they have been watching for a while.
right.
So he had been coming and going. Uh, uh, if he gets an exception for him, I think the other guy should get an exception as well. That's how I look at it because I don't care how much money he's got. There's nothing wrong is wrong. Now I know that's not. I know that's me saying that. That's not always the way that's done. But that's the principle that hopefully we work from. But I know that's not real.
Did you, uh, staying with the NFL for a moment, did you see where EJ Manuel is retiring? He started 18 games with the Bills and the Raiders, and he was drafted back in 2013.
Did see something about where he was giving that up. I guess he's thinking again. Those guys sometimes are shocking to know when to give it up and when they give it up. But yeah, he I was kind of surprised to see that. But it comes a time. You look at Jason Witten, who had retired a whole year and has decided to come back to the Cowboys. And I think the Patriots thing is Ron Gronkowski is going to come back too, but I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah.
I
Geno
think, I think
Smith is supposed to sign with the Seahawks.
yeah,
He's another
be
one that
interesting.
just never really panned out.
Yeah, sometimes these guys in the teams they get on, and I think sometimes they just quit. They quit getting better. They just, or sometimes it's just the talent. They don't really have. They have a flash, but they don't have a time. The biggest thing about the NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball, particularly the two previous football and basketball, you got to stay to get to that level is an accomplishment all by itself. But then the next challenge is to stay there, and that's a lot of work. That's every day getting up out there, getting after it every single day. Some of them can't do that. Some of them, and then bottom line, so this is something that I think most people don't come to grips with. You got a kid just better than you. He does it better. He's just better skilled and he's a better athlete. And I don't care how hard you work, you'll get better and you'll be one heck of a ball player, but you won't be the ball player he is. That's what it is. That happens sometimes. It happens more often than people want to acknowledge, but it's real time. It happens.
Did you see? Did you see? I don't know. Did we talk about this Saturday? Did we talk about the Kentucky Derby? Yeah,
No.
yeah. Actually, you know what? Actually, you know what? I think that we did. But did you see where they were the jockey that he was trying to suspend him for 15? I guess
I'm a little
I'm
bit
I'm
confused on that. I actually saw a replay. I think we're talking about the horse being out of his lane, and
right,
it caused it. I mean, it messed
right,
up a
yeah,
whole
right.
lot.
Actually, you know what? We did talk about it. Yeah, that's right. We did. Yeah,
So
but
hopefully one day I get a chance to actually go to the Derby. But
yeah,
that's
man,
kind of interesting. I mean, the
people
tradition
people
around the
lost,
Derby
people lost a lot of money on that. Man, you talking about
lost a
millions of
lot of
dollars?
money. I mean, but I think it's important to get it right if
Oh
that's at
yeah,
all
oh yeah,
possible. get it right, and I think that's the bottom line. You got to get it right. But yeah, that was, I would have hate to have been on the side of error, if you would, when they say I just won X amount of dollars, all of a sudden I lost it all. Oh my God! Oh, I didn't win anything at all. That's pretty crucial.
Well, it looks like Kevin Durant is going to be out for the second game two.
I think that I think they were very fortunate to get uh, Damian Jones back, who was the starting center for the Warriors. He got in the other night, so that means he's back. So they've got that really helps their rotation at the big man spot. And then I think Boogie is very close, very, very, very close to coming back. And I think they're going to hold Durant out to game 3 when they come when they game 3, if they, because now they're up one. If they can win this one, they'll be up two. And then they'll go over there and they just got to get one out of there and then bring it back home and close it out.
Oh, let me real quickly say hi to an old friend who just tuned in for a second. There's my friend Janice Taylor, who I used to have this big crush on back in the day, who paid me no attention. But I just wanted to say hi, Janice Taylor. She's there in Jacksonville, and her sister Debbie. So hey, Janice, how you doing? But coming up, game two, both games. How you see game two coming up tomorrow and
Well,
Friday?
there's going to be some adjustments on both sides. Both teams that lost it, they're going to have to go back and reevaluate and readjust. Portland is going to try to take Lopez away, and while maintaining their focus on the Greek. Portland, that's Toronto on them on the offensive side. Defensive side, they're going to try. They got to work with Kawhi. They got to make sure they kind of contain Kawhi and all his supporting cast. So I think you're going to see a different strategy. Um, Again, or at least we should anticipate that. I definitely think the Warriors game, you're going to definitely see a change. You're going to 100% see. I mean, Raptors and the Bucks, but when you see Portland and against the Warriors, you're going to see a tremendous change in defensive strategy. If not, they're gonna get blown out again.
Well, the thing
I
is,
expect. I actually
no.
expect Toronto to win the second one, and I think Golden State will win the second one.
Oh, really? You looking for Toronto to win game
I
two?
think they. I think they win. I think for Toronto to win game 2, and I look for Warriors to win game 2.
No, okay. All right. Well, this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Here at www.youthcentralsports.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. We ask that you like us on Facebook. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube. Appreciate that. This is the original Coach Carter, where we also, Coach, we got to talk about. Let me see if I have it in here. No, I do not, which means that I have to go find it. And I should have it right here. But won't you quickly, just for a quick second, while I go find what I'm looking for, to talk about what's taking place in July, right here in O Town. There it is. Bada bing, bada boo. Just like that. And it looks like I may have lost him. But anyway, this is going to be coming up on July 13th here in Orlando, where the MC for the evening is going to be the original Coach Carter. It's called Sports is More Than Just a Game. And we're going to be talking about what it's like from middle school to high school, from high school to college, from college to pro. We're going to have a panel discussion on this thing that seems to be bigger than life itself. And so, with that being said, we're going to bring in some people to talk about the whole recruiting thing, some of the do's, some of the don'ts. What's the advantages and disadvantages for a personal trainer? What's the advantages and disadvantages of AAU, FBYA, FBVA, all the different leagues. How do you go about trying to reach the next level? How do you stay eligible? What happens, let's just say, if you become ineligible? Well, it doesn't stop there. You can make yourself eligible again. But there's also scholarships, Division One, Division Two, Division Three, NAIA, junior colleges, and so on and so forth. They're out there. And so, what do you have to do? And so, we're going to have some coaches come in, some other panelists just to come on and take questions. And one of the biggest things that Coach Carter tries to talk about in talking to the parents is we want you to be more of a parent and less of a fan. So that's very, very important. And so with that being said, that is going to be taking place. Let me make sure that I put this back up real quick. And one of the other things too is that for those that are not here in the area, if you're interested, I will be able to, if it's something that is asked, and if I see that if there's enough people via internet that you can take part in this and you can ask questions and listen and watch and so on and so forth. I think it's something that we're going to start doing annually because I think it's so very important. That whole preparation of what people don't understand when it comes to the recruiting, what they don't understand, what it's like when you do go to college, and the fact that you have to understand as an athlete, and the parents need to understand that it's a business. Yeah, it is sports, but you have to look at it like this. That coach has a mortgage payment. He has a wife who loves shoes. Or she could be a coach and she loves her shoes and with a mortgage payment and so on and so forth. And the question is that you have to ask, what have you done for me lately? And that's how they look at it. And if you've been given a scholarship and you can't or don't produce, a lot of times they take that scholarship from you. So there's a lot of pressure. So it's like always, like everything else is about the money. And so with that being said, I think we lost Coach here at the end of the show, but that's okay. You can reach us. I mean, you can watch us here every Wednesday because this is where we are, www.youthcentralsports.com. And we're on Twitter and we're on Periscope. And so we love comments, questions, or concerns. I'm going to see if I can find the email address real quick, see if I can put that up. Where is it? I got it here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is right here. Questions, comments, or concerns. You can hit us up right there. And this is Youth Central Sports. I'm Charles Morris. And we want to say from myself and from the original Coach Carter, enjoy the rest of the week and you be blessed.